to talk about the plant kingdom, of which there are about 1,200 remedies in our homeopathic materia medica. What is the hallmark feature of the plant kingdom? If we look around the garden, we see that some of these plants are in the shade. Some of them are in the shade of the redwood trees, where they get damp soil and not very much sunlight. Here we see the ferns, the ranunculaceae. We have a Helleborus and an aconite and a delphinium there. And so we see that these plants love the damp. And if we look behind us, we see that the roses and the datura, the ivy, the jasmine, these all love the sun. They want to be in the bright, intense sunlight with somewhat dry soil. So if we take one of these roses and put it under the redwood tree, it would be very unhappy and probably die. And like vice versa, if we took a fern and put it in the bright, intense sun, it also would be very unhappy. So the plants have this tremendous sensitivity to their environment. They need a specific environment that is suited precisely to them. They can't have us transferring them to different places. They can't have the wrong amount of wind or the inadequate amount of rain. They feel everything. The plants feel everything. They want an environment that is conducive to their specific nature. The roses are dry and woody, and the ranunculaceae are damp and wet. And the stems, the whole aspect of the plant is featured by this sensitivity. They have to have what suits them. Another characteristic of the plant world is rhythm. The plants are breathing in and out, and they are moving. They're moving with their environment. They're moving with the rain and the wind. They're moving in their own internal way with their growth. So there's always this sense of rhythm and sensitivity to rhythm in the plant world. It translates to sensitivity to music and to beauty. Also, color. Animal kingdom. Main goal is survival and the continuance of the species. Survival means food and protection from danger, and continuance means procreation and sexuality. How does one survive? One survives through strength, swiftness, cunning, and having more of all these qualities than the others, than the competitors. Sexuality means being more attractive or stronger. Both of these have a key component. That key component is competition. More than others, more attractive, more strong, more swift. So competition is the key word that we're looking for in the animal species. Male lions can fight to the death to take over a pride. A pride is made up of the female lions, their cubs, the male lion's relatives, and himself as the head of the pride. To take over, he must be bigger, stronger, younger, and extremely fierce. The fight is a major one, with the present lion as master to lose all. If the new male lion takes over, the other lion will slink off with his wounds to the life of a nomad and alone. His competitor, the new male lion, has a major task in front of him. The very first thing on his agenda is to kill all the cubs or offspring of the previous male lion. Why? The goal is to have all the progeny his, to maintain his genetic line so that he wins the competition by the cub, keeping his cubs alive. This competition for genetic line is the foundation for one of the main human emotions, jealousy. If we look at the jealousy rubrics in the entire Materia Medica, we find that 5% of minerals have jealousy, 7% of plants have jealousy, and 30% of the animal remedies have jealousy as a main feature. So you can see jealousy is a strong element in the animal world. Now finally to our last kingdom, that of the minerals. Look to diamond, lead, and gold. What do you see? The hallmark feature of the mineral kingdom is structure. Each has a specific place on the earth where it sits for eons. Not much will create a change in the mineral unless it is acted upon by the environment. Its nature is a stability that is unchanged. Minerals do not attempt to adapt. They only change, for example, from solid to gas under certain specific laws of thermodynamics. And then they change in a very specific and ordered and predictable manner. That is why it has been possible to organize them into the periodic table. As you see, it's structured, organized, straight lines. This is the way it is. This is the way it always will be. Minerals are reliable in their behavior. They proceed cautiously. They are organized and systematic. As humans, the mineral types are most concerned with family. Family is the foundation of their ordered world. They want a family to be together, orderly, comfortable, money in the bank, the kids doing well in the right schools, and the bills are paid. The house is sound, no water is coming in the roof, and no shingles are flying off. All is predictable and exact. Mineral types are the salt of our earth. They are the people who make things operate smoothly. They are the engineers, the scientists, the mathematicians, the bankers, the accountants. Whomever truly enjoys precision, exactness, and a systematic, orderly way of performing tasks and looking at the world is probably a mineral person. The minerals look at us plants and animals and just shake their collective heads. To them, we are scattered, flighty, unorganized, and gullible. They can also appreciate the artistic natures of the plants and the athletic or theatrical skills of the animals, but they find it hard to understand how we can make it through a day.
Almost nothing has been talked about in homeopathy so much as miasms, and especially when you consider that they don't exist. I mean, they don't really exist. It's not like you can go up and touch a miasm, right? A disease you can actually, like the heart valve is leaking, you can hear the murmur. A remedy is there, you can go up and touch it, the pulsatilla plant actually existed. But a miasm is a completely, it's a concept. If you look at the first aphorism of Hahnemann, the physician's highest calling, his only calling, is to make sick people healthy, to heal as is termed. It is not to weave so-called systems from fancy ideas and hypotheses about the inner nature of the vital processes and the origin of diseases in the invisible interior of the organism. The very first thing he says, and then what does he do? He does the exact thing that he complains about. He spends the next 30 years of his life working out the origins of the disease based on the invisible interior of the organism. And he called it miasms. The whole concept of miasm, it's extremely useful and it's extremely nebulous at the same time. And we can never actually know a miasm, and in a patient we can never know a miasm exactly. It's something that we read in between the lines. It's something in the background. It's, that those pictures of the two faces looking at each other, and then if you look at it the other way, it's a vase. Well, that's sort of what a miasm is like. It's like, is it the background or is it the field? And it depends on how you focus. Let's put this in its historic context first. The Organon was written in 1810, right? The first edition of the Organon. And chronic diseases where Hahnemann formulated the idea of miasms came out in 1828, almost 20 years later. So between the time when he first formulated the concept of homeopathy, well, he actually formulated it in the 1790s, but when he actually wrote about the miasms was not until 1828. So like 33 years after he'd already been practicing homeopathy before he came out with the book, The Chronic Diseases. However, he started having the concepts through which he developed the theory of miasms as early as 1810. And he himself in his writings, in the lesser writings, you'll see that he says that he spent some 16 or 17 years formulating the concept of miasms before he ever wrote about it. He labored day and night for 18 years to come up with the concept of miasm, but did not reveal it to any of his students until just the year before he published Chronic Diseases. He was probably at that time somewhere in the neighborhood of, in his early 70s when he came out with Chronic Diseases. He had the feeling, and the way he describes it was, that in somewhere around the time of 1810, 1812, he felt that he had hit a wall. He'd been practicing homeopathy for some 15 years by that point, and he found that he was able to affect acute diseases, epidemic diseases, according to his understanding, almost perfectly. That means he felt that he was able to cure virtually every case of an acute or epidemic disease. But where he was having trouble was in the chronic diseases. And he felt that he was having good results in chronic diseases, but they were relapsing. So he would take the case, he would give a remedy based on the symptoms. The patient would get better for a period of time, and then the condition would come back. And this plagued him and troubled him. And then he would try another remedy, and they would get better, and then it would come back. He felt that there was something that was blocking the cure of the patient.